Hello, my name is Oscar, and my partner Ronnie is here as well today. And he and I are paramedic firefighters. We've been so for a long time. Ronnie has about 30 years on the job. I got about 20. And today we're here to present a program called Street Smart. And basically what this program is going to boil down to, it's just plain old common sense. And I know each and every one of you have that. See, we're going to go over things that you already know about, right? Unfortunately, you know it, you've seen it, you've heard it before. But hopefully our way of presenting it to you, which is going to be through our eyes as firefighters and paramedics, and the types of things that we see day in and day out when we go to work, hopefully that'll have a bigger impact on you. Because we're going to go over things like drinking and driving, getting in a car with someone who's under the influence of drugs and or alcohol. And we're going to go over whether you should be putting on your seatbelt every single time you get in a vehicle. Now, I want to give you a heads up because some of this information, it's going to be graphic, it's going to be explicit. So as long as everybody's on board with that, we're good to go.
Engine 4, Rescue 4, we're on scene, got a head-on collision. We're going to need assistance. Hey, Oscar, get the passenger. I got the driver here.
Yeah, I'm checking her out, Ronnie. Man, she's got no pulse, not breathing, injuries incompatible with life, man. There's nothing we can do for her. She's dead on arrival.
All right, got a DOA. I'm going to need your assistance here. I got C-spine. You got that C-collar?
I got the collar right here.
All right, got that good. Check it out, man. When I got here, he was having trouble breathing, and I'm looking at the steering wheel where he struck it with his chest. It's all bent over, and I can feel the bones, the ribs crackling underneath my fingertip. I think he punctured his lungs, and we got a collapsed lung. So let's decompress the chest. All right, decompressing the chest means taking this needle about 3 1/4 inches long, exposing the chest in between two ribs, inserting it all the way in to this orange hub. We hopefully get a rush of air that lets us know that the lung is reinflating. But the bad news is we got 2 lungs involved. That means 2 needles. And if you're thinking pain medication, not an option, no time.
Yeah, and Ronnie, man, I'm looking at his face. There's a lot of lacerations, a lot of bleeding going on his face and his head, man. It looks like his head went through that windshield. But luckily he wasn't ejected, right? He came actually back into the car, but I'm gonna go ahead and control all that bleeding.
Well, you got that under control right now. I'm looking at the lower extremities where he struck that dashboard assembly, shattered his kneecaps there, Oscar. And the legs, they look broken. But you know what? The good news is I don't think he severed any major arteries, else he would have bled to death. But let's start the IV since extrication's not ready yet. All right, guys, starting an IV means another needle, not as big as the other one, but we're gonna go here in the elbow here area. We're going to get that IV going. And how's the flow there, Oscar? Looking good?
Flow's good. It looks like the IV is successful.
All right, so we're good to go.
Yeah, right now, Ronnie, what we got to do is we got to get him out of this car, man. We got to get him on that backboard so we could continue treatment, get him over to the hospital. But you know how this works, Ronnie. We're not just going to walk him out of this car.
No way.
We got to protect that back, that spine. So it's a whole process called extrication, which involves the extrication team and those jaws of life that I know all of you have heard about before. So we're going to actually rip the doors off of that car. We're going to roll that dash assembly up and away from him. Shoot, we may even have to cut the whole roof of the car completely off so that we can ever so gently get Nolan, get him on that backboard, and get the treatment that he needs.
But since there's no time to do that today in this format, let's get him on the backboard now, just you and I.
Let's do it. All right, now that we got him completely immobilized and strapped down, Ronnie, what we need to do is cut off all his clothes.
You got it.
Yeah, what that entails, we take our trauma shears, and again, we cut off every single piece of clothing that he has, because we want to completely expose him to be able to see any injuries that he may have sustained during this crash. Now, man and woman alike, all this clothes is going to come out.
Hey, Oscar, it's a good idea that we expose his body, because his abdomen's all bruised. Yeah. So I'm really concerned about his face. He's pale, diaphoretic. Did you get a second set of vitals?
I got them for you, man, but they don't look too good, Ronnie. I mean,
that's not.
His breathing is really bad right now. His pulse is racing, his heart is racing, his blood pressure is dropping.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, with that drop in blood pressure, let's start a second IV. Oscar, I've got a problem with that drop in blood pressure. I've got no veins to shoot for, and I really don't want to remove the C-collar to try for an external jugular, so I'm going to go with my favorite, buddy. You got it.
The bone gun?
The bone gun. I'm going to take this bone gun, and the bone gun does exactly what the name implies. It shoots a needle, a spike, into the bone, and typically we go right here below the knee. But as we remember, his legs were broken. We saw that, so that's not going to be an option. So we'll go up here in the upper arm, and we'll shoot this spike into his humerus and into the bone marrow. We'll infuse that fluid. One way or another, guys, we're going to get at least 2 IVs.
Exactly, and Ronnie, man, I'm looking, he's having a lot of trouble breathing. What we need to do is take over breathing for him completely. Now, what we need to do that entails is we got to get this tube into his windpipe, his trachea. Now, there's a few methods of us doing this. The first one is we can go through the nostril, right? Just insert it through the nostril in the back of the throat, goes in. Or we could go through the mouth. With that, oral intubation. We use this tool right here, lift up and slide in. But tonight, guys, he sustained such horrible injuries that the back of his throat, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of things. And what we got to do is we got to go with our third option, which is going to be the surgical cripe. And what that entails, we take a needle just like this, and there's a hole in the center of this cervical collar, and it's specifically for this procedure. So what we're going to do, no pain meds again, right, Ron?
Absolutely not.
We're going to grab this scalpel, we're going to make a quick incision right there in his throat, turn it around, back of the handle, puncture through that membrane, twist and turn, hold that hole open, and then once we do that, we get our tube, slide it right in, and now, Ronnie, man, we got breathing taking over completely.
Absolutely, and this is pretty much as good as it gets for us, but we got to get him to a hospital. But right now, he's strapped to our board, and he's got tubes and needles in and out. He's probably looking up at us, Oscar, and he's wondering, am I going to live or die? Problem is we don't know that. We've got to get him to the hospital. And what's going to happen there, Oscar?
Yeah, and the thing is, once we get him to the hospital, because we've done as much as we can out here in the field, but when they get him to the hospital, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot more unpleasant procedures and treatments that they got to do, such as a chest tube, right? A tube that actually has to go into the side of his chest to help him breathe even more. And we're also going to do Foley catheters, which we not a pleasant experience also, and he may even get some extra blood into his system.
And not to mention the belly tap to check for any bleeding in the abdomen. But you know what, Oscar? The good news here tonight, guys, is Nolan, you're a survivor. You're going to survive this crash, but the bad news is you sustained a lot of injuries that are unfortunately going to change how you live your life, and that's sad because you look like a guy who has plans, who has goals for the future. And I look out at a lot of you and I see the same thing, people with goals and plans. But for you tonight, Nolan, that ends right now. The reason being is all these injuries, your legs, even though they will heal, it will take up to a year for them to heal. The abdomen, all bruised up, but that will heal. The chest, the broken bones, it will take time, but they will heal. But the sad news is a doctor is going to inform you and your family that tonight in this crash, you severed your spinal cord and you're being diagnosed as a quadriplegic, which means you're going to be confined to a wheelchair for the remainder of your days. And another doctor informs you and your family that you sustained a traumatic brain injury in this crash. You're being diagnosed with permanent brain damage. And what that means is for you, is for the remainder of your days, when your family can finally take you home from this hospital, they're going to have to care for you every day, getting you out of bed and dressing you, brushing your teeth, feeding you throughout the day, taking you to the bathroom to clean you up, and at the end of the day, putting your pajamas back on, brushing your teeth, and tucking you back into bed. And guess what happens tomorrow there, Nolan? They get to do it all over again. See, guys, the point we're making is this life that we're living and all the goals and the plans that we have for ourselves in the future is how quickly they can all come to an end. But as sadly as that is there, Nolan, it doesn't just end with you. Because who was in that car with you last night? Anna. Absolutely right.
All right, Anna. We already know you didn't survive this crash tonight, unfortunately. You were dead on arrival before we even arrived, right? Injuries incompatible with life, there was nothing we were able to do. But the thing of it is, at some point, the police, they're going to end up doing their traffic homicide investigation, right? And they'll find out your identity, see who you are. And let me ask you a question. Who do you live with?
My mom.
Live with mom. See what's going to happen at some point tonight, Anna? This is going to happen. Now, Anna, whose door do you think they're knocking on?
My mom.
Your mom. And the other side of that door is a police officer. Now, your mom is getting the knock on the door, Anna, that she has feared since you were this big. And the only thing on the other side of that door for her is indescribable pain. You see, because your mom will cease to be the person that she was once she opens that door. She will never be the same. Because like I said, on the other side of that door is that police officer, and he has a tough job as well. You see, because he somehow has to find the words and the courage to look your mom in the eye and say, ma'am, your daughter was killed tonight in a senseless, preventable car crash.
All right, guys, as you have seen, these two have already been through a lot. So what we're going to do now is try to figure out how and why this event occurred. We're going to basically go over the factors that may have contributed to this event. So tonight, you heard that there was a party going on, so you call up your friend Anna and you ask her if she wants to go. You drive by and you pick her up. Y'all head on over to the party, and you can see this place is rocking, man. You're feeling good, and they're feeling good, and they offer you some drinks. You try to say no, but before long, after try, you gave in. You each have an alcoholic beverage, and unfortunately, that leads us to the first factor that may have contributed to this event: alcohol.
Absolutely. Now, you guys had that first drink, right? And you know how this works. One turned into two, two turned into several. Next thing you know, you're having a really good time. And at some point tonight, Nolan, your buddy's going to come up to you and say, hey, man, we heard there's a much better party about a mile down the road. Why don't you and Anna meet us over there? Now, you, of course, are going to say, yeah, man, better party. Let's go check it out. So you guys are going to, unfortunately, make another poor choice, and you're going to walk out of this party and into your car. Now, when you get to your car, you get behind that steering wheel. Bad choice, right? Anna, you didn't make one better, right? Because you got into that passenger seat knowing that he's been drinking tonight. And unfortunately, I don't know if you guys normally wear your seatbelts, but I know tonight your judgment's impaired. You get behind that steering wheel and in that passenger seat, and you don't buckle up, which leads us to the second factor that led to this big tragedy tonight, which is non-seatbelt use. And guys, when it comes to seatbelts, we hear all types of reasons of why people don't wear theirs. Man, I'm just going right around the corner. It takes too long to put on my seatbelt. I'll wear it in the front seat. I just won't put it on in the back seat. What if my car starts to roll over? We hear all types. I just don't think about it. And that right there, that's the number one excuse we hear. Man, I just don't think about it. I get in that car and I just go. Well, I'm going to show you a quick video. We're going to put this into perspective, because a lot of people say, hey, man, I'm just hurting myself, right, when I'm in there. Well, I'm going to show you this quick video clip. Now, this is a cab driver. He's not drunk or high. He's just a little sleepy coming home after a long shift. But eventually, he's going to nod off at the wheel, and he eventually rolls this car over, and he's going to end up in that back seat. He's going to hit every part of that vehicle right there. And that's just a great perspective to see of how a seatbelt needs to be worn when you're in a vehicle. All right, so we've gone over two of the factors that led to this tragedy tonight. We talked about alcohol, we talked about not wearing your seatbelt. Now we're gonna go over the last one, which is distracted driving. And we all know what we're talking about there. We've all been in a vehicle, looked at the vehicle next to us, seen that person talking on the phone, eating a burger, playing Angry Birds, Words with Friends, all that crazy stuff, right? You see, these are the people that are gonna run those red lights, run those stop signs, and they're not gonna give you a choice of whether or not you're gonna be in a crash that day or not. Now, we're gonna take it back to our original scenario. We got Nolan and Anna going to that party, right? But the thing of it is, when they left that initial party and started heading to that other party, Nolan was driving and he started getting some text messages. And unfortunately, he makes another big mistake and he answers those text messages. So he just committed that third factor, right? Distracted driving, not wearing your seatbelt, and alcohol use.
All right, guys, in a normal presentation, we would have showed you a lot of pictures of people in crashes that unfortunately were killed due to the bad choices that they made that night. And one of the things that I would tell you is that I can guarantee you that none of those people woke up that day thinking that today was going to be theirs, that would happen. Because we all go through life thinking, this stuff is never going to happen to me. But this is what I can tell you and guarantee you. Every 12 minutes in the United States, someone dies in a car wreck. So in the time of an hour when we do our presentation, it really strikes me and it hits me that in that short period of time, 5 people who didn't think it was going to be them, well, it was. And what always it gives me chills as I think about the family members who were sitting at home or who were sitting at work, who don't even know and didn't know about the knock on the door that they were going to get in the coming hours. See, our hope and prayer is that it's never your door, that it's never your family's door. And the good news is there's things that you can do to improve the odds so that it doesn't become you. And it boils down to that good old common sense that Oscar said in the very beginning. You've got it. You've just got to use it. If you're going to go out and party when you're old enough to do so, do it responsibly. And don't ever get behind the wheel of a car. Why? Because it's good common sense and you have it. Use it. Don't ever get into a car with someone driving under the influence because it's good common sense. And please put on a seatbelt no matter where you sit. Why? Because it's good common sense and you have it. You just got to use it. And distracted driving right now, that's the one thing that's killing more people your age more than any other. So do yourself a favor. Silence your phone. Download an app that will disable that function while you're driving the vehicle. Make good choices. Use good common sense. And live a long and healthy life. That's what we all wish for each and every one of you. So on behalf of myself and the Street Smart program, thank you very much. And be safe.